I've done some band pull aparts and I've done some dislocations. Now I just need to do some actual bench to warm up. That feels good. Oh, had about 150 grams of carbs before this, and so just walking in and setting that up started to feel like I was getting a pump, which is different. It's cool though, not a problem at all. So working up to, I think, around 130-ish today, nothing crazy. So in the bar, 60. Today is touch and go, which I don't normally do, but this training block, I've been doing them as my heavy-ish bench session. It's been quite fun. My touch and go PB is only actually 130, whereas my pause PB 155. So it's quite a big gap in strength there, which is cool because when there's such a big gap in strength, that means there's a big weakness. And if there's a big weakness there, then that's something that's relatively easy to improve, like low-hanging fruit, to make gains. So that's always cool. Right, so as usual, get to 100, velocity comes out. Just like a nice starting point. Generally speaking, want to be looking at like 70% plus for using velocity, but 100 is just a nice like starting point, because I generally would jump from 100 to like 120, 130-ish, depending on what the workout is. So I use 2 apps for training. So one is a Get Strong Feel Awesome app. So my session is in here. It's probably not going to load. It is, there we go. So you can see what today's session is. And the other one is Flex, which is for the velocity. Now, if they could sync together, that would be awesome. At the minute, unfortunately, they don't. So I need to use the Flex for the velocity and Get Strong to track all of the training. $100 kilos. Let's see how quick this is. Right. Well, that felt like nothing. I mean, it's supposed to only 100, so it should. I always feel weird doing touch and go. So, although I'm doing touch and go, I'm concentrating on reversing the movement, not bouncing it off my chest, so that I'm still controlling it, but it's for that stretch reflex, because when you pause it, even in competition, there will be a pause, but the stretch shortening cycle can get up to like 7 to 10 seconds in people that train it. So you should have a fairly good carryover from one to the other. And if your pause bench is a lot weaker than your touch and go bench, then that suggests you should train your pause bench more. And if it's the other way, it suggests you can train the other way. So let's have a look. Yeah, 120, next jump. Something I've been thinking about a lot is, so it's called the Dodson law, and it's about performance and arousal. So basically, the more aroused you get, the more riled up you get, the better your performance gets to a peak, and then performance gets worse. So if you get a bit psyched up, then your performance will probably be better than if you're just like, oh, don't care. If you get overly psyched up, overly amped up, you start to feel anxious and you start to underperform. Now, to make that even better, when you attach skill level to what you're doing, that means you can push that curve further along so that you can get more riled up and more aroused for the activity and have more of an increase in performance. So for example, if you were going to play the piano, something super complex, you don't want to be like super fired up and everything, because your skill would have to be so high to be able to do that. Whereas when you're lifting weights, the technique for squat, bench, deadlift is really, well, it's relatively simple compared to most sports. So once you've got your technique down, it's nice and consistent, same every time, getting more amped up should increase your performance to a certain extent. And what that looks like, person to person, is going to vary. It's not everyone likes to get fully fired up. So this is 120. It should be fairly decent as my last warm-up set. Oh. Oh. Cool. Huh. It was actually slower than I expected. I wonder if the velocity was accurate on that. I'll watch this video back and see. Because that felt super easy. Strange. Yeah, so I watched it back. The tracker was definitely off. That was super breezy. Right, 132.5 is my work set, so it'll be a PB. I'm only doing 3 sets of 1. All this training, it feels like a lot of the sessions just don't feel particularly hard, which is not a bad thing, but then the hard sessions are really hard. So like the session the other day with the eccentric split squats, my quads, my legs have still got DOMs, which is not usual for the way I tend to train. Whereas my upper body is completely fine at the minute. So it makes me feel like I'm not working hard enough. But then I'm making progress at a good rate, then who cares how you feel, you know? So off the back of what I was saying about the Yerkes-Dodson law and how performance and arousal are linked, and just move this so I don't keep hitting my head on it. I've been thinking about like matching energy to whatever the task is that you're doing. So for example, lifting weights, you probably want high energy, but then if you're like doing some mindless task, so earlier on, I've vacuumed the house. It's only a small house, doesn't take long, but like you don't need to feel good to do that. You don't need to be amped up. You just get up, do the vacuuming, it's fine. You don't need the extra energy, whereas like when you're lifting and stuff, you do need that higher energy. And I think when you look at athletes that perform well in sports, especially sports where there's like event, rest, they seem to be able to switch from sympathetic to parasympathetic, from like fully hyped up to relaxed really quickly and really efficiently. They're the ones that seem to recover better. So I think being able to, once you've done a set, get back to almost like your baseline resting state as fast as possible is really good, which is another argument for making sure you do your cardio and stay fit. Now, I'm just going to put a little bit of chalk on because I love chalk. Who doesn't? When I say a little bit, I actually mean a little bit, not like caking everything in it. In fact, I'll show you. This is all the chalk that you need. Don't need to go crazy. Right, so 3 sets of 1. I'd like this to move at more than like 0.25, ideally, I think. Let's go. Oh yeah, that was good. 0.48. That's fast. See, now I'm doubting whether or not that's accurate. Because if that's accurate, I've got a big bench PB coming. Now I'm thinking I should check it based on the last one being inaccurate too. I don't know. I think I could have done 5 more reps of that, to be honest. Right, I'm going to check this because this is exciting. Yep, it was accurate. It looked accurate. Looked as fast as it felt. That's cool. There's actually a PB for touch and go as well. And now I've done that, I'm kind of like, I want to go heavier. But rumour has it, if you stick to your program, it's good for you. So what I'm going to do now, I'll have a look at this. Show you this. So 1 set of 1 rep, and I think I could have done another 5 more. Let's put RP 5 for that. Completed. Fantastic. I didn't upload a video to it because obviously videos on here. Well, I suppose I could film on here as well. Nah, that's too much. Right. Numero 2. How's my Spanish? Same again. Come on. That might be faster. Exact same again. At least I know it's not a fluke. That was decent again. This is great. Even if I say so myself. I really like to do a session. It's just bench, close grip bench, incline bench, and then maybe some curls and laterals. They're just kind of like maintenance stuff. I'm not actively trying to improve them. I will do like after competing, but for now they're just like minimum needed to maintain so that you still look like you're lifting a singlet. And the other thing I like about this session, so the bench is fixed in load, the touch and go bench, but the accessory work is not. So that makes it a bit more interesting. So my close grip bench and the incline, I'm incredibly weak at incline. Close grip bench is not too bad. I mean, I'm weak compared to other people, but I mean weak compared to me. So like my incline bench, when I started this block, I think 65 for 6 or 7 reps. I was like a genuine RP 10, so I couldn't have done any more reps. I think I had Rach come and spot me, and like it was like she had to just about take it at the end of the last rep. So that's cool again, because if there's something that's that weak, it's such an easy way to make progress, such a low-hanging fruit. So that's cool. Close grip bench, I just like doing that. Feels good, feels comfortable. Sets of 5. I'm doing the same thing as I've been doing the other few sessions with the fast eccentric and the pause for my accessory work. So my best close grip set of 5, I think, is maybe 120. I'll be able to check. So today I've got a couple of sets of 5, RP 7.5-ish. I mean, the way this is going, could potentially, I wonder if I could do this for 5. I could definitely do this for 5. Close grip, maybe, maybe not. But it would be more a thing of, can I do it at the right intensity? I don't want to go crazy and go too hard, because what I'm doing is obviously working really well at the moment. So it would be stupid of me to just change it for no reason, just because my ego says, let's change it. Right. Oh. Yeah, it's good. Same again. Yeah, that definitely wasn't a fluke. Same velocity every rep. Lovely. What are you doing? And this, as you can see, these face pulls are barely, and they're not really stimulating anything. It's just to keep everything moving, nice and fluid. Otherwise, I feel like when I bench, I feel like this. Whereas I do the face pulls, it used to feel a bit more open. It's a bit nicer. So we'll check off the close grip bench. It's safe to say they were all RPE 5, which is cool. Something as well. So when you're training for hypertrophy and training for strength, they are not the same thing. Now there is a hell of a lot of crossover. There are a lot of things that work for both. There are a lot of principles that can and should be applied to both. But what you have to remember is strength is a skill. Hypertrophy training is about causing a different type of adaptation to the strength. Now you do need some hypertrophy to get strength, because if you don't have muscles, you can't get stronger. But if hypertrophy and strength were the same thing, the strongest powerlifters would also be the biggest and most muscular people, whereas they are not. The biggest and most muscular people are bodybuilders, like relative to their size. You tend to get strong when they are like physically bigger specimens, but that's a whole different thing. But anyway, so the adaptation is different, and so is the training. So with strength, there's the specific type of strength based on what you're training for. So you could have someone who's training to have really good start strength, or explosive strength, or strength through a single rep, or strength endurance. Whereas for hypertrophy, as long as you tick the box of getting the stimulation, that's fine. So if you're having a bad session and you're training primarily for size, for hypertrophy, you can always do something. Whereas if you're training for strength, so say you're training for hypertrophy and you want to, lose my mind, and you want to maximize your session, but you're feeling rubbish, you've had a bad day, whatever. You come in and you're overreached, or you're not strong enough to hit your working weights. So say you normally would close grip bench 100 for sets of 8. And you're supposed to do 5 sets of 8. But you come in and you're knackered, you're exhausted, whatever else is going on. If your goal is just hypertrophy, as long as you're getting close to failure, so within like 3 to 4 reps of failure, probably closer is slightly better, you're going to be stimulating the muscle for growth, which is fantastic. So, say you instead do your hundreds for sets of 5 or 6, you're still going to get some adaptation. Or you might instead go to 90 or 80, do sets of 15 to 20, close to failure. That's cool too. But if you're training for strength, you need to be able to put more weight on the bar. So if you come in and you can't hit your 100, you kind of messed up. You've done something wrong. You should be able to progress your weights over time. So that's why there's different adaptations. You need to train differently. So when you're training for strength, you generally don't, for the main movements that you're trying to get stronger on, you generally don't push them to complete failure. There might be a time and a place when you do, but you don't want that slowing down. And you want to be able to keep completing the session so you can keep stacking up more weight over time. Now in your accessory stuff, you might push close to failure, and that's fine, but you need to be able to make sure, so using the close grip bench, you can keep adding weight and adding weight. So it is a different thing to train for. Anyway, with that said, let's do first set of close grip bench. So I had a quick look. My PB for close grip bench is 127.545. So we start with 120 with a relatively quick descent, the eccentric. A nice little pause and then back up. So you can get 5. And so looking for like RPE 7.5-ish. But I'm looking for it like as an average across the 3 sets. Right. Oh. That was pretty good. I don't know if that was a little bit too easy. There's a decent velocity drop. So about 20% drop So 0.5 to 0.4 across the set. What I'll do is repeat that for set 2, and then if the velocity is the same and it feels the same, I'll maybe go up a little bit with having the incline press as well. And it's so close to a PB for an accessory movement. I'm not in a rush to just try and help myself, you know. So if anyone is watching this, leave a comment below of if you want me to try and cut out the time between sets and stuff or not. And if like enough people do, I'll consider doing it. But for now, I'm doing this mostly like for myself. So I've got this as a log. So when I get old and weak, I can look back on what I did. I can look back at what I've done each training block and training cycle leading up to different competitions. So obviously at the minute, the big goal right now is 700. I don't think that's possible for this upcoming competition, like 3 weeks. Yeah, I can't see it happening in 3 weeks. It's the deadlift especially. I can't see that jumping up significantly before the competition. Squat I can. Bench, if it carries on in this trajectory, I could see that happening. But like I said the other day, you don't tend to train bench that heavy. I don't tend to train much stuff that heavy. Maybe that's why. So 700 is the next goal. I also probably need to give myself some more leeway to get a bit heavier. So potentially after this competition, so competition's on the 18th of November, I might do like 2 weeks, just like quite an aggressive deficit, drop 3-4 kilos. So I've got a bit more leeway to eat a bit more, get stronger, and then maybe look at trying to find something around February, March time. I'm not sure yet. Also, I might leave the country and go somewhere warm instead. So that'll be a thing to factor into whether I can train, or where I can train, I should say. Right, that's enough talking. Next set. So the goal of this set is to convince myself to go up in weight for the next set. I kind of need to earn the right to push it up. So, wants to be good control and then fast as well. That was good, but it did drop off a lot more than the first set did. So I think that's the right choice of weight. Yeah. So we went from 0.52 down to 0.38. That's a fairly substantial drop. That's like nearly a 30% drop. So like I said, when I said about like training for hypertrophy or for strength, if I was doing this from a hypertrophy perspective, and so what I'll be doing in about a month's time or so after the competition is when I do it, I'll be looking for the biggest range of motion here possible and get a full stretch at the bottom, nice and controlled, back up each rep. But that's not what I'm doing now. Now I want the movement to be volatile. It wants to be as much force as possible. This is probably more risky, but everything comes with a certain amount of risk. I'm doing what I can to mitigate it. So I warmed up reasonably, did a bunch of shoulder, elbow, wrist warm-up stuff. I'm well hydrated, well fed. I sleep a lot, sleep like a baby. Yesterday was a long day. I think I had 12 appointments, so each one between half an hour and an hour. So that plus other work, plus some cardio. It's a long day. So today I slept in. That was wonderful, but had I not, I maybe wouldn't have been as well prepared for this. So it's just making sure when you come in each session, you're as well prepared as you can be for it. I mean, there's other stuff as well, like this is my gym, I own it, but I'll make a conscious effort to train when it's empty. So a few reasons. One is I don't put off members when I'm training. Another is if I want to film stuff, I don't want people to feel uncomfortable being filmed. But the main reason is when I train, I want to train and just train. And all the members are fantastic. I love them all, they're great. But when I want to get on with my session, I want to be able to just focus on that, focus on what I'm doing and make sure I can give it everything properly and not like be halfway through the session, get distracted by something, come back in, not warmed up, and then pop, something goes. I mean, you can see when I've had something go before, there's a couple of scars there from reconstruction, torn pec, torn bicep, broken shoulder. So I'm hyper conscious about not getting hurt. And with that said, do the next set. Right, another good set. Every set when I'm benching, I kind of like, so when I started lifting, it was after I'd injured my shoulder and I thought I would never get a decent bench. So I set my goal, like my long-term goal was being a 100 kilo bench. And I set my I'll never do it goal as a 150 bench. And this is like 10 years ago now. Now I beat 150. And the next big goal would be maybe 180, because that's 4 plates. I could be delusional. But every rep, I'm just thinking 180, 180. So every rep of this is about 180. Oh, come on. That was tough. A little bit sloppy as well. There's a bit more emotion, a bit more arousal for that one. Yeah, and the velocity, he kind of leveled off a bit on that one. It was okay. So you might notice, might not notice, might not pay attention. When I'm doing these, I'm not trying to get as big of an arch as when I do my normal bench. And even when I do my normal bench, it's not like I'm trying to be a gymnast. I'm just trying to be stable in my position. It's not, I want to arch enough that I feel comfortable, feel strong, but I'm not trying to arch so much that I'm turning it into an exorcism or something like that, because ultimately I want to be stronger. Having a bigger bench is cool, but the specific number of the bench is not as important to me as the actual bench itself. So I just want to make sure I'm getting the most out of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip the bar, put the incline bench in. Same thing again of the relatively fast descent. I need to move this back a bit. There we go. I'm going to warm back up for this. I'm also making sure I got somewhere I can put this if I fail. Seems to be the case with the incline. Well, just all of a sudden, out of nowhere, my triceps will just die. And it's on the side with the torn pec. I think it's just because this pec can't do a right lot because there's less than 10% of it attached. So all the stress is on my tricep on this side, which is fine, but it means I just it goes to jelly out of nowhere. So very, very cautious about the weights. Right. That feels all right. So, like I say, 65 was tough a couple of weeks ago for this. So we'll try, I think I'm gonna go for 70 for my sets today. So for this is like getting further away from the competition movement. So it's less specific to strength, but it is a great accessory, and because it's heavy, it's specific in a different way in that it is heavy. So let's try this as a warm-up. This might even be the working weight, but I'll just do a rep or two, see how it feels. Yeah, I think 70 will do. And I'll put the velocity on as well for this. It's not really something I paid a lot of attention to, the velocity of a incline bench. But given that I'm trying to do the eccentric fast, have a nice pause, the good thing about the velocity is it will also show me the eccentric speed. So I can see how fast I'm doing it. And if, as I'm getting through the set, I'm making it slower and slower, I know I'm making it easier on myself than I need to. And that's not always the best thing to be doing. Right, see how this goes. So again, looking for like RP 7.5-ish, 6 reps is a target. So that's the average across the sets. So if there's a bit too hard or a bit too easy, that's fine. So I'll average it out. This will actually be a PB. PB. Can I do something wrong? I felt far too easy. Just gonna check this back because yeah, it seemed easier than I expected. So I did it right. It was just easier than I expected. So I'll go for a bigger jump. This is the thing that I mean about like, if something's super weak, it can be good because you can make progress on it really easily. And then you gradually bring those numbers up. So this is not something I really ever, I don't really train this that much. A lot of the time I bench accessory. Why are you being weird? There we go. A lot of the time I bench accessory, more benching, but getting to the point of where that's kind of, it's not going stale, still making progress, but finding that benching so much can wear on the elbows a little. So I needed to incorporate a little bit more variety, so it doesn't, so I don't get repetitive strain injuries. So incline bench is a good option for that. Well, the velocity didn't log on that, so obviously it doesn't count as a set. So next exercise, bench press incline. Go 80 kilos. I don't think I'm even gonna count that last one as a set, to be honest. Let's see how this goes. That's better. That feels more like it. Probably doesn't, well, I don't know how it looks, but it's that initial movement I can feel on this side. It's starting to get tough, like a 15 kilo PB Can't complain at that. I think sometimes with the sessions, it's not about big dramatic wins. Like just tick the box every session, and probably like 80% of sessions will just be okay. Like tick along, tick along, tick along. Just do the work, do the work. And maybe like 5% of sessions will be like incredible, and they're cool. And you want to make them the day of the competition where you can. Obviously you can't always, and if you don't compete, then you can't. And then maybe 10% of sessions will be very good. And about 5% of sessions probably below par. But I try and think of not actually having any bad sessions and just change the focus of the session. So if I was particularly weak today, I might look at instead of being concerned that I'm weak, it's like, what did I do or didn't do outside of the gym that's affected the session? And if I can honestly say I've done everything right, which is almost never the case for most people, myself included, then I know there's something to improve. And if I do think I've done everything to the best of my ability, then I know I'm just overreached, and then it's probably okay. You have like a mental check of, am I actually trying hard, or am I just giving up hope today, or is it just one of those days? And like I say, one of those days, it needs to be real, not just that, oh, I don't feel great, I'm going to do it. More like, is there a good reason? If there is a good reason, fine. If there's not a good reason, come on, get on with the work. I'm saying that, I'm stood here talking to myself and then to the gym. So this is my second one of these so far, the 700 mils. In this session, I should say. At home this morning, I had a couple of litres as well. Got to stay hydrated, so I'm told. Right, let's go. Yeah, that's really good. I like that. Oh, I can really feel where the weakness is when I'm doing it, which is cool. I have good carry. I mean, clearly it is having good carryover, because the 132s earlier, the velocity on them was phenomenal. So after this, I do a couple sets of curls. So the minimum work that you need to do to maintain muscle is so little. So a couple of sets of curls, I won't take them to failure, and then a couple of sets of laterals as well, and that'll be it. And then head home, get something to eat, go on with some work, and eat some more, do some more work, eat some more, do some more work, and then sleep, and wake up tomorrow, do it all over again. Tomorrow's session will be fun. It's squats, deadlifts, conventional. Squat singles, I think, maybe it's 220, 225, maybe 500 pounds. Again, just 3 sets of 1, dead simple. They want to be fast. I mean, I want them to be fast, obviously. They don't have any feeling, they aren't real. So if they're fast, that'd be cool. And then for me, I get just knackered squatting more than about 200 for multiple sets, which is crazy because my max is 250. So you'd think that it wouldn't tax me so much above that kind of weight, but it does. So this way of training, I'm getting used to doing multiple reps above 200, because in a competition, I like big jumps, but with the big jumps, there are downsides. So one of the downsides is with the nature of how I train, and that I train relatively light, it means that knowing exactly where the top end strength is, it's a bit of a guess sometimes, like an educated guess. And obviously I use the velocity, and using the velocity is a linear relationship. But there's a psychological element, there's a factor of the competition, the different equipment, the environment, everything else. A little bit of guesswork of like, based on my training, I think my squat's about 260. And if I was someone who took smaller jumps in competition, maybe went 240, 250, 260, you'd be able to gauge it pretty well off the 250. I like to take big jumps, so for me to hit 260, I'd maybe go like 220, 237-ish, and then 260. Is that right? 220, 237? No, 220, 247, 260-ish. So there's quite big jumps. But that's only 3 reps above 200. So if I can do 3 singles, 227 during the training week, fatigue is high, that'd be pretty cool. So I've got squats, deadlift are conventional deadlift. All my deadlifts are conventional now. I've left the dark side, I guess. They're tough at the minute. My grip tends to be not great in the gym because I'm doing lots of grip work, and then come competition day, it's not a problem. So the minute having to force myself to remember that when I'm doing the deadlift sessions and finding every rep like an RP10 for the grip. But yeah, if I want a good grip, I have to keep not using straps. So this will be the third and last set of this. Need to make them nice and clean again. Right. It's fine, it's good. That's one of those things, if I think, like when I watch them back, it looks so easy, but I know it's not, because I just did it, and I can feel that starting to creep in, like, oh, my arms feel like they're gonna pop, and starting to feel like in my triceps, it just feels like jelly as I'm going into the last couple of reps, and it's like all it would take is a little bit, and that'd be a bit failure. And the cool thing about training on a weekend is, so it's Saturday today, I'll be back in here tomorrow to train, so I can leave out all my weights and my bar, and it'll be in nobody's way. So that makes it one less thing to think about clearing up. And then tomorrow, I don't have to get everything out again. I will adjust the safeties and stuff, but I'll do that between my sets of curls and laterals. That's the end of this session. I did curls, did these 12s for 12 lateral raises with an 8, and then 8 curls, 8 lateral raises, 4 curls. I do 4 lateral raises. No one wants to see that. That's everything for today. So I'll see you tomorrow.